That all had to happen so I could have the stool to put my Diet Coke. I should drink water, but I prefer my pee thick. Unhealthy. Okay, so the last time I was here was in 2021, and I was pregnant. And a clip from that performance went incredibly viral. And it went so viral that as I was being wheeled into my C-section, the anesthesiologist peered at me as he was wheeling me in and holding my life in his hands and looked at me and went, "Do you do comedy?" The only time in my life I didn't want to be recognized. Because with these things, with virality and everything, I'm sure most of you already know. I mean, most of you seem well-adjusted. It means nothing, right? I made no money, and my mother does not like it, and continues to not be proud of me. I asked her about it, actually. I asked her about it because it was viral enough, and it was for this event. So I thought, I don't know, I'd give it a try. And by the way, the only time my mother has ever seen me do comedy, I've been doing for over a decade. The only time she's ever seen me do comedy was very early in my comedy career, and this is the only thing she said about it. You were the shortest one. So I kind of offered up this viral moment thinking, no, she did not care. And it's fine. I really don't mind. But, I really thought, whatever. The only things that she's ever been proud of is that I started teaching comedy at a university. I teach comedy at a university. Let me tell you, I live in fear that the parents of these students will be taking me to court for crimes against good sense and reason. But I'm joking. I love teaching. Actually, the greatest lesson I think I've ever taught was one of the worst bombs of my life. I was performing for an industry showcase, and it was so silent during my set that I could hear the ice melting. And in that moment, I looked into the eyes of a young 12-year-old boy who was clearly there because he loved comedy and forced his father to bring him to a second city to watch an industry showcase. And I looked into his eyes and I saw him, inside of that moment, decide to become a lawyer. And you guys, I saved a life. I'm a doctor. What was wild about that is, aside from the virility of it all, is I've been on television before, and no one's ever cared. And people were texting me like crazy. It was wild. And I've been on television. I was on NBC. I was a pizza judge on that Hulu show. A show during which production repeatedly asked me to stop eating all of the pizza. Because every time they cut to me, my mouth was full. I was also in a web commercial for a product called Dude Wipes. Some of you are familiar. For those of you who aren't, it's a product for dudes who shart. And it's basically baby wipes for dudes. And I played that dude's loving girlfriend. The commercial took place in a park where we ate burritos. And after he ate, he went, and I went, yes, I love you. Maybe my greatest work. What was I talking about? Yeah, I was pregnant. I was pregnant. I am 41. I gave birth at 40. That means, yes. No one ever likes that. It's interesting. I am 41, and I understand that I do have somewhat of a. I mean, none of you guys are surprised that I'm 41. We age But I am 41. But I understand I have kind of a youthful vibe, And I do think that's because I have the accomplishments of a much younger woman. Kind of a pro tip, ladies. Failure keeps you moist. It's It's funny because, being 41 now, at times people used to kind of be like, I used to tell my age, and people used to be like, oh, you look great. But I guess now it's not like that, because I guess white women started using lotion in 2016. And now none of us are allowed to age anymore. Isn't it fucked up? It's just like, ladies are just like, they keep moving the goalposts on us. You just have to be good looking into your 30s, and then it was your 40s, and now all of us have to be hot until we die. We can never stop moisturizing. We're gonna just have to slide into the grave because we're so slippery. I am 41. I gave birth, that means I gave birth at 40, which means that I am in this unique position to not only be postpartum, but also actively starting menopause. Okay, some of you guys don't know what that is. If you don't know what menopause is puberty in reverse. Because puberty prepares your body to become an adult, right? And menopause prepares your body to die. My body is treating me like it's like a night shift at a restaurant, closing up shop. It's just closing out the register, wiping down countertops, being like, well, that doesn't need to be wet anymore. I'm talking about my vagina. But what was I talking? It's just funny. Like, your relationship to your body just changes during menopause, and it really did for me. And so, I recently got tested for ADHD. Tested positive. For those of you who don't know, I had to do the whole 5-hour test. I had to do a whole 5-hour rigmarole because they're not giving out the Adderall like they used to. Oh, you Adderall piggies ruined it for the rest of us. But yeah, I had to do the whole 5-hour thing, and if you aren't familiar, they basically test your intelligence, all parts of your intelligence along the IQ scale. So my IQ for focus and attention was special needs. You know what I mean? Like, it might be illegal for my husband to be fucking me. Like, I shouldn't be making my own financial decisions. And the thing is, part of it, and the spread between my focus and attention IQ and my IQ for verbal and cognition was over 40 points, right? It's a pretty big spread. And part of the function of the person administering the test is to make sure I'm not intentionally throwing the test because of the Adderall, right? And the guy who was administering the test looked at me and said, "Don't worry, I know you weren't doing that." Because it was clear you were trying very hard. Brutal to hear. What's crazy about the diagnosis is that so many parts of my personality that I thought were quirky and interesting turned out to be symptoms. Like in high school when, all of my Asian peers started studying for the SATs, that is when I decided to start smoking weed every day. In college, when they were deciding between business school and law school, that is when I did a whip it while driving. I don't know if you know what that is. And it's fine. It's just, I started managing a jug band. I started a t-shirts company, and this is all within the same year, right? And the thing is, I kind of had an identity in the early aughts as a manic pixie dream girl. Do you guys know what that is? Okay, for those of you who are too young or don't know, it's I own 3 ukuleles. Does that make it clear? And the thing is, my husband, he married his manic pixie dream girl. Yeah. And I don't know if you know what happens when you marry a manic pixie dream girl. You take on her debt. And whimsy doesn't come cheap, okay? Free spirits don't have good credit. And that's what happened. He didn't, it's fine. Also, it's funny with the manic pixie stuff. I'm also bisexual, and I'm married and stuff. So it's weird because as a bi person who is married, it does sort of feel like I'm a part of the queer National Guard, it's not a part of my everyday, but if ever called upon to serve, I am trained. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, the ADHD thing. After I got the diagnosis, a lot of my friends were really excited for me. They're like, "Oh, awesome! You got to be prescribed Adderall and stuff." And I was like, "Listen, I don't know if I want to start doing meth at 40, you know, because that's what it is. And also, if I start taking Adderall and become like a productive person, like my entire identity, you know what I mean? I've created an identity based on the fact that I am lazy and dumb. You know, like look what I'm doing right now." And if I started becoming productive, like I'd have to, I don't know, like get a new husband, get a better one. I have to get all new friends. They're all losers. And, okay, they're not. But yeah, I mean, like I'd have to go to school. I mean, my parents would be proud of me. I don't want to do that. I'm not interested. But I actually thought so much of my ADHD was a result of being addicted to TikTok. Is anyone here addicted to TikTok? Yeah? Okay, do you feel safe telling me what is on your algorithm? Yeah. Oh, I'm actually too bad. Okay, that makes sense. It makes total sense. It makes total sense. Because the algorithm does know you, right? It really deeply knows. And for those of you who don't want to speak up, you're ashamed of yourselves as well. Because my TikTok algorithm thinks that I am an Asian incel. That just loves watching white women get ready. It's just all Jordan Peterson, cold plunge dudes. And then there's a genre of incel, I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it's a genre of incel that only eats red meat. Like their entire ethos is if you're not eating like a lion, you're living like a pussy. And I love it. And then it's just blonde teens curling their hair. It's interesting. Are there any Gen Z people here? Yeah? I mean, we are on G. Yeah? Okay, you're politely raising your hands. Anybody else? No? I mean, I don't have any beef with it, but there is a phenomenon on TikTok, I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, where Gen Z roasts millennials, right? Where like Gen Z is like millennials with their side part stupid, skinny jeans chuggy. There's also this thing Gen Z has done, which is canceled dancing with your hands over your head. Do you guys know that? Yeah, it's canceled, done. Listen, again, I don't have any problems, you know? Like, love what you're doing with the genders, sexualities, get them all in here. I like a buffet, but the thing is, like, you guys are so young, I don't think you realize, let me ask you guys, like, if you're not dancing with your hands over, how else do you demonstrate that you just don't care? If you're not waving your hands in the air. All right? Also, let me say, if you're a true player, you're gonna have to throw your hands in the air. Good luck raising the roof. In preparation for this show, I was actually looking on Reddit, where you go to find any information. And I went on the subreddit called Immigrant. And you'd be surprised what was there. I was shocked. It was mostly white Americans looking for advice about how to immigrate to Canada. And they're like, we don't feel safe. And I was just thinking to myself, and by the way, you have to understand the context of this thread, right? It was 50% white Americans looking for advice about how to immigrate to Canada, and half active ICE raids. Like crazy. And in my mind, I was just like, when and if they immigrate, what is their immigration story gonna be to their kids? Do you know what I mean? Like, we knew when our neighbor misgendered our dog. It wasn't safe anymore. We have to leave Cincinnati. And when we got to Canada, we didn't have anything. We barely had enough in our 401k. And we didn't even know the metric system. It's funny. I mean, like, you know, there are immigrants here, right? Yeah? Any immigrants? Yeah? First gen kids? Yeah? No? Oh, wow. There's none? But I mean, listen, I am a progressive person. I'm progressive, but I'm not like crazy. Do you know what I mean? I mean, I am an immigrant. Like, I still want to be rich, you know? But I have a lot of very young friends that are very progressive, you know, and they're constantly railing about trauma, immigrant rights, and the insidious nature of casual racism. And it makes me feel like they don't know any immigrant moms. Because no one is out here inflicting more trauma and engaging in more casual racism than immigrant moms. My mom only refers to my friends by their ethnicity and the physical trait they are most insecure about. She's always like, what's going on with your Jewish friend with 3 hairs on his head? And I'm like, you mean my husband? Thank you guys, I'm Eunji Kim.